It's time for Unfiltered. Join Azar Gums, lawyer and deputy leader of the People's Action Movement, for raw and unfiltered political analysis of the current events in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tune in every Sunday evening from 7:30 p.m. on Win FM. Join Azar Gums as he breaks the mantle and cuts through the unfiltered political noise to bring you the facts. Unfiltered every Sunday evening on Win FM 98.9.
Want to earn your degree from a U.S. university? Qualifying Caribbean residents can study 100% online at DeVry University with 50% tuition savings and a waived application fee. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devry.edu/Caribbean today.
It's the sale you've been waiting for, happening now. Discounts galore at your favorite Hosford store. Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Get ready for discounts galore. Store discounts, big discounts, small discounts, VAT discounts, and more. We're slashing prices with at least 4% VAT off and up to 20% off store-wide on furniture, appliances, auto parts, building materials, and hardware, and so much more. Discounts galore across all Hosford stores. And that's not all. Customer discounts and even Value Club member savings mean the deals just keep getting better. Whether you're upgrading your home, tackling your next project, or fixing your ride, Hosford's has you covered. Take advantage of the discounts galore at all Hosford stores today. At Hosford's Furniture and Appliances, Ashley's Furniture Home Store, Hosford's Building and Nevis Centers, and Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories. Hurry in! These offers won't last long. Don't miss out on the biggest savings of the year. Visit any Hosford store now and start saving with discounts galore in every store. Big deals, big savings, and more. Terms and conditions apply.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are any exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take for yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
Babe, we can get up to 100% financing on a land loan with CIBC Caribbean.
Really? No down payment?
With 15 years to repay, it's so affordable.
Now we can finally move forward with the land we love.
Get up to 100% financing, half off the loan application fee, and up to 15 years to repay a land loan. Plus, CIBC Caribbean will give you $675 towards your valuation fees. Promotion ends March 31, 2025. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back here on Island Tea. We would sincerely like to apologize for the streaming not being up earlier due to some technical issues. We have that sorted now, so we are streaming on all our streaming platforms at this time. Thank you for your patience while this was happening. Now, before we went to a break, I was going to talk about the storage of solar power, but then I remember it's March. We're coming up to the end of March where the ban for single-use T-shirt plastic bags is set to take an effect. So are we ready? Are we purchasing our bags from the supermarkets and other areas? I know most countries. I know when I lived in Antigua, when that ban came into effect, that ban was in effect. Nobody was selling you bags. I know the BVI, when they did theirs in 2013, you could have still purchased plastic bags, but it was like 15 cents per plastic, and that was becoming too tedious, so everybody got their bags. And their bags if you didn't get a bag, you got a box. I remember Antigua, the supermarket used to put the box in a metal kind of encagement like we have here at Rams Wholesale. But after a while, too, sometimes you don't want to use those boxes because they're bleach boxes. They're this, that came out of them. So everybody got their bags. And you best believe it. If you went to that supermarket without a bag, they had no bags to sell you. It was just in effect. And everybody fall in line. Eventually, myself and my sister, we always made sure we had our reusable bags in the car because we know once you go in there to make a big shop, if we don't have it, we have to wheel the cart or bring the car around, wheel the cart out, pack everything in the car, and then when we get home, we still have to unpack it again, so it was a lot. So we fell in line, everybody in Antigua fell in line. I'm hoping that when it begins here in St. Kitts, we can fall in line too and get rid of the plastics. Now, it is said that plastics make up the highest percentage of litter in the world, and plastic bags contribute to blocking drains and increase the risk of flooding. Plastic bags also kills marine life because once they get in the water, they resemble jellyfish, and turtles and other animals tend to ingest them. And you know, plastic bag makes no sense in your system. It clogs your breathing ways, and we will kill these animals. So, yeah. And they said 1 million plastic bags. This one was a notable one when I found it. 1 million plastic bags are used worldwide every minute.
Wow.
That's a lot of plastic bags. That's a lot of plastic bags. And then I see on April the 30th, styrofoam food containers and plastic straw bans. That will be on importing. And then the sale and distribution of these items, that's plastic straws and styrofoam food containers, July 31st of this year. And then single-use plastic cups, plastic plates, and plastic utensils on August the 31st. That will be no more importation after that. And then sale and distribution on these items end on November the 30th, 2025. I know persons sometimes argue and say, what do we have in place for that? But I see there are a lot of plastic bowls in some supermarkets. They said they're microwavable and dishwasher safe. So I think maybe we can use those in place because they're reusable. They're not just one-time use and then we throw it away so we create more trash. I know people are concerned about, is garbage bags going to be banned from this whole thing? I don't
know. I
don't think so. But I remember when I was younger, living in Ghana, I don't remember us using much plastic bags. We had shopping bags. And that's when, even here, I remember going to the shop and you took your own bag. Going to the market, you took your own bag until the plastic bag got more into the vibe.
Well, as far as I can remember, here, living in the U.S. Virgin Islands and back here again, we've always used, way back we used to use paper bags with handles.
But some of the paper bags aren't even sturdy now.
Yeah. But we've always been given bags so it's going to take some getting used to, you know.
But then if we have the shopping bag, like you go to England, you go to the US and stuff, you have the option. And a lot of people, and I realized this with the Ross students, a lot of them have the reusable bags instead of the plastic bags.
Oh.
They seemingly, from what I observe, it's like they came here educated, like this is what we use and this is what we're going to use here. Because in England, the supermarkets, you can get a bag, but of course you got to pay for that. Nobody don't want to pay for that, so everybody gets the free reusable bags or purchase the reusable bags. And those are pretty sturdy, so you use them over and over and over.
Well, I don't know. Let's see how it works out.
The plastic bag.
Yeah, eventually we're going to have to conform, but it's going to take a little while to sink in. Because me personally, men especially, we don't like to walk around with bags and, we like our hands free. So
like your hands hanging free?
We're going to have to let the women do all the shopping.
No, unfair. I think with the reusable bags, we should be fine. It's easier. And we had a reusable bag. We had even Dutch, let me tell you, Dutch lady, all these bags. I still have reusable bags like those where those were the ones me and my sister used for the cold stuff, like the chicken and stuff, because they kind of have a plasticky inside. And then the cloth ones that we got from Epicure and other supermarkets, we used for the dry goods. You have a caller? Caller, good morning. You're live in ILT.
Good morning, Kortensia.
Good morning. How are you?
I am humble and peaceful. And the other and your other colleague, what is his name?
Quinn.
What's your other? Yes.
Quinn?
I was in conversation with him. Yeah. Good morning. Quinn, you said, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I had conversation with you yesterday. I think I took up your whole show and the other gentleman, Mr. Welcome.
Yeah, no problem.
But it's an interesting topic you have this morning. It's an interesting topic you have this morning about plastic. Now, listen. I am here in New York. And yes, they have a ban on plastic. It goes beyond plastic bags. No, the plastic bag. Let me just say this. You know the water bottles that they will sell the water out of right there.
Yeah.
Then people finish with them, they discard of them. Or anything to do with plastic. Up here we have a recycling program where the reason why pollution is polluting the place because if companies who sell their goods and have bags there for people to bag their stuff, they should think about a redemption. Okay, yes, they charge what? 5 cents a bag, 10 cents a bag, and make it be known that it's redeemable. But that's government has to do it. Up here, they redeem the bottles because you buy water. You're being charged either 5 cents. In New York State, they charge you 5 cents for that bottle. Or in Connecticut, you pay 10 cents. But the bottles are redeemable. And it's a good way to have an sustainable income based on your volume. So I think Caribbean islands should consider a recycle program for the materials, because at the end of the day, they are commodities. Okay? And plastic is needed. Regardless of what, we cannot stamp out plastic. But one have to discipline themselves in controlling pollution. So I think plastic will be reasonable, and plastic doesn't have to recycle in the shape or form the same. You could have anything in plastic. Plastic can make blocks. Plastic can make prosthesis. Plastic can make everything. We use plastic, we need plastic. We can't stamp out plastic. It's a very good product for the world to use, but it's the discipline in controlling the aftermath usage of them. I mean, I definitely will introduce that in my administration. And that goes to aluminum, anything to do with the aluminum, sodas, and glass, all commodities. We have to find ways to be proactive and reusable. And we could reuse those materials. Our local use, and even to sell to those big companies, those hedge funds. They are viable. They are needed. So that's my contribution on that. I hope they will, whoever is listening, to whom it may concern, they will consider that. It's not that I'm giving away my plan, but the thing is now, we need to take into consideration the environment. How can we help the environment rather than to throw them away or take them to cannery dump and burn them? That's pollution. Thank you for hearing me.
All right. Thank you for your contribution, caller. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back with Weekly Dose.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WinFM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Biff Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Biff Mills on WinFM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
Well, that's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they're full to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.can.
Let's Get Real on WinFM. Hi, this is Lavi. Let's Get Real, Wednesday nights at 8 on WinFM. Get ready for an hour of real talk that will keep you engaged and informed, bringing you insights, the hottest topics of the moment, and perspectives that matter from the runway to the political arena. Real Talk with Lavi covers all. Let's Get Real, Wednesday nights at 8 on WinFM.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and as promised, it's time for a weekly dose. We have the lovely doctor in studio with us. That's Dr. Natalie Osborne, and today's topic is common causes of abdominal pain in children. Doc, good morning. Welcome. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Try my best. We were just talking about the woes of adulting, but we still have to adult.
Yes, and how the days are going by so
Too
quickly
fast.
and how much we've got to get done in a day. So we're here today to talk about common causes of abdominal pain in children. Very often we see children in our practices at the hospital with abdominal pain, and oftentimes you have to decipher, is this something that is innocuous or mild, or something that is severe or need much more attention, something that is going to be benign and resolve in days, or something that needs to be looked at, or it can lead to certain complications. So we know that abdominal pain is very common. It's seen oftentimes. It fills up the practice of pediatrician. The surgeons get involved, especially depending on the type of abdominal pain, and to rule out some of the more serious conditions. And parents get really overwhelmed, Kortensia, and panicky when they see their children in distress, you know. So persons become, their mothers become really attentive and really concerned, and it puts a lot of pressure on the healthcare system. Most time the causes are benign, but we're going to discuss some of the common causes of abdominal pain and go through them, and to understand how we can effectively manage them. A lot of the management can be done at home, but if these symptoms persist, then you will need to see a healthcare provider and make sure that we rule out anything that's complicating.
Okay, so the first question for today, what is the most common cause of abdominal pain in children?
Constipation. You have these little ones that come having bowel motions less than 3 times per week. That is how we define constipation. So it is one of the most common causes. So these infrequent bowel motion, the stool is packed up inside of the colon, and it gives them this abdominal pain. All right.
So what are the symptoms of constipation?
So you're going to have these children, they say, Mom, it hurts when I go to the bathroom. I'm passing just a little bit and it's coming out like in little pebbles and stuff, and it's really hard, all right? And it's difficult to pass the stool, and it hurts the tummy. There could be some abdominal swelling as well, to bloating. The belly looks a bit bloated. They don't want to eat. Sometimes they become so afraid of going to the washroom because they feel that it's associated with pain. And they can become irritable. They can have some moodiness. I remember one time a child came, and this is a child, 4 or 5, a slender chap. And by the time I examined him, you actually felt the stool on the tummy. You felt it from touching his abdomen. You felt the stool there. And at the time you thought, is this a tumor? This is something of more concern. Eventually we found out that it was just constipated. That can lead to what we call fecal impaction, where there's just so much stool that's backed up.
Wow. Oh boy. Let us talk about what causes constipation now.
So these common causes, especially in children, they refuse to eat their fruits and the vegetables very often. So they do not have a diet that is rich in fiber, and they lack a physical exercise oftentimes. So they're not drinking enough water also. You would pack their little lunch kits, and when they return, oftentimes the water is still there. The fruits are still there. If you give them a packet of cookies, that would be eaten, but your little apples and your oranges and your grapes, those are still there. And certain medication, mind you have to keep those in mind. If children are on certain pain medication, children are taking any kind of cough medication sometimes. Yes, some of these drugs. Children, these are children who may have certain allergies. They, as you said, we said pain medication, supplements that they're taking, iron supplements, that can give them, lead them to become constipated as well. And sometimes change in environment. We as adults too, you notice when you travel to a new place, sometimes your bowel pattern change because you're not in a welcoming or comforting situation. So sometimes it's hard for you to do that.
Indeed. What is the treatment for constipation?
So when you see a child and you decipher that this child is constipated, because sometimes we may have to even indicate an abdominal x-ray, and you see all the stool packed up in the colon, you can give this child some laxative. But you want to prevent this in the beginning, because you don't want to have a child that's stuck or using laxative too frequently. So we want to encourage your children to drink more water. You want to make sure that they have their fruits and their fibers, okay? Those kind of fiber-rich foods, the vegetables. You got to encourage them and stimulate them, you know, play games with them to ensure that they eat them. Offer a treat at the end if they eat their vegetables. You want to do that. You want to establish regular bathroom habits. No, go to the bathroom now when you wake up, and you encourage them to sit there, because that motion of sitting would get the stimulation and the gastric in the bowel, so that it could help with the bowel motion. You've got to create this healthy habit of going to stool.
I don't know why my phone keeps locking up. Give me 1 second. All right, so let us talk about gas pain. Abdominal pain. Okay. It says clearly here, another common culprit behind childhood abdominal pain is gas and bloating. Tell us a bit about that.
So gas and bloating, lots of times we've got these children as well too. They present with abdominal pain, and it could be because of gas. A lot of times what happens, these gases get trapped in our gastrointestinal system, in the bowels, okay? And it can cause discomfort, cramping, and even sharp pain.
But you see, do you think, this is a question off the charts, do you think because the parenting styles are different, because we got tea for breakfast, we watch our parents cool our tea, we cool our tea, we ate what they gave us, we didn't have choices. Do you think the change in...
Well, it could be a combination of things too, because the child will present with abdominal pain, discomfort, feeling of pressure in the abdomen. They could be passing a lot of gas. Lots of times is what the child eats. a lot of food do produce a lot of gases, like some of these beans that you have, lentils, certain vegetables. I think broccoli is one of them
Ramen.
too. Yes, so some of these food. And if you drink a lot of drinks that are high in sugar and carbonated, you persons, when you eat and when you talk, you're swallowing a lot of air. And even things, it can be associated with constipation. And some persons who have these chronic gastrointestinal disorder like inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel disease, they can have these crampy abdominal pains.
What is irritable bowel syndrome, by the way?
So the irritable bowel syndrome is nothing more that you have in all these crampy. It's associated with your nerves as well and your intestinal wall. It could be a combination of these symptoms. You're just having these crampy abdominal pain. It becomes chronic over time. Sometimes you don't even know the direct cause of this irritable bowel disease. Certain foods, certain stuff can create this irritation in the bowel.
Okay. What would be the treatment for gas and bloating?
All right, you want to encourage your child to eat slowly, all right? And certain foods you want to avoid. And let them be calm and avoid a lot of conversation. So they're taking their time eating. You want to avoid carbonated juices and drinks, these sodas that we give the children quite a lot of. They may create excessive gases. You want sometimes over-the-counter medication can help to release some of the gases, okay? And if certain foods, if the child is lactose intolerant, that can lead to all of this irritation and abdominal discomfort and gassiness. So you want to pinpoint or observe a certain type of food that can create this abdominal pain, this bloating and gases, and avoid them in your particular child.
How does one find out if your child is lactose intolerant?
Well, it's commonly something that you'll observe over time when they eat ice creams, milks. They could tend to create, presents with abdominal pain, cramping, diarrhea, things like that. And then it can be further investigated. Okay, but commonly once they have certain types of food that are rich in lactose, because the body has difficulties breaking down these types of sugar, and it can create some irritation to the bowel.
Okay. So let us talk about gastroenteritis. What is it?
So gastroenteritis, that's another common cause of having abdominal pain in children. You're going to see, and it's sometimes seasonal because it's what we call like the stomach flu. It's a viral condition. It's very contagious. So you're going to see the kids in the preschool, they're infecting each other because they share toys, they play around, and one gets infected and the other gets infected. So most of this creates abdominal pain, nausea, vomits, diarrhea, things like that. And it becomes, the child is a bit ill for some days, and it's a bit unpleasant.
Okay. So what causes gastroenteritis?
So gastroenteritis is, as we said, is a viral illness commonly caused by things like the notavirus, adenovirus. These are common bugs that are circulating in the ear. The child would present with abdominal pain, often to the practice or to the hospital, diarrhea. You're going to see the child may have some vomits. The child may be a little bit lethargic. The child may not want to eat, maybe have some low-grade fever, a bit dehydrated, and they would lose their appetite. So those are the common symptoms. As I said, it is oftentimes seasonal and it comes in batches. So once you hear gastroenteritis, it's related to the stomach and the intestines. So commonly vomits, diarrhea, abdominal pain and cramping, at that overall feeling of being unwell.
Okay. How is it treated, by the way?
So commonly how we're going to treat it, because it's a virus, there's no specific need for any antibiotics. Oftentimes patients and parents bring their children and they're insisting that they have some form of antibiotics, but it is a bug, the same way you have the flu, that the virus gets into the stomach and it creates this havoc. It's oftentimes and most times it is self-limiting. Meaning that in several days, like 1 to 5 days, you're going to see all of these symptoms resolve for most parts. What you want to avoid in these young children especially, and even in adolescents, is to ensure that they stay hydrated. So you have your oral rehydration salts. You want to give things that are not high in sugar, but you want to make sure that they're drinking enough fluids so that as they have the diarrhea or the vomits, you want to ensure that they stay well hydrated. You want to gradually introduce certain foods back to them, because specifically we speak about this brat diet. Once a child has this gastrointestinal illness, they don't want to eat much. So you want to then, as they become much, as they start feeling better, you want to introduce something that we call the brat diet. So that's banana, rice, you've got things like applesauce without sugar, and toast. So you want to gently increase those things. Avoid things that are going to be rich in milk and all these eggs and all these cheeses, lots of dairy foods, until the child settles down. But most times these gastroenteritis, they're viral. What would make a parent very concerned if your child becomes very lethargic, very dehydrated, they're not their self, they're sleeping a lot. If you've got a little baby, a tiny baby, and you have that fontanella and that area where the head is soft, if that is sunken in, if the child is not crying and when the child cries, there's no tears, you're concerned. If you see that the diaper doesn't have in much urine, or the urine is very dark, so it colors it very yellow, these are signs of dehydration. You may want to seek medical attention at that point. But we usually encourage that you limit some of the food that the child can eat, because you don't want to further upset the stomach. Let the child have light stuff. Avoid a lot of milk products and greasy and oily foods. And as the child resolves, you'll see that the diet, the appetite comes back. But it's very important to keep that child or adolescent hydrated.
So how does food allergies cause abdominal pain?
So that's another thing that causes abdominal pain. Food intolerance and food allergies can cause abdominal pain. Of course, you've got certain foods, like certain foods that are high in wheat, certain wheat proteins, the same milk that we talk about, if you have lactose intolerance. So then it can become difficult for that child to digest some of these food, and they have the crampy abdominal pain.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about the symptoms of food intolerances.
So the abdominal pain is common in all of these different conditions. So you have bloating, you feel gassy, you can have some diarrhea, nausea or vomit. And if it is associated with allergies, you can have breaking out with hives. In severe cases, your child may have some where they start having difficulty breathing. So we don't want a child to go into anaphylactic shock. So they will have wheezing, difficulty breathing, and they have all these bumps and lumps, what we call hives on their skin.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about the common food intolerances and and allergies.
So yes, a lot of these food that can cause allergies or intolerance. We said one of the more common one is lactose, anything associated with milk. So we have that is difficulty digesting the sugars that are in that milk. You have gluten intolerance as well too, where it is certain products like wheat the child may be allergic to, rye, barley. Lots of children now are having allergies to things like peanuts. So we've got to be very careful. Tree nuts, eggs, soy, shellfish. So if your child have a strong allergy, of course, and it is known, it is good to ensure that your child have the EpiPen or epinephrine, that medication, that if they come in contact with these type of foods. So you got to be careful with that. So these allergies are becoming more and more common in our community.
Well, I'm thinking the kids we're making these days can't stand plenty. Is appendicitis a common cause of abdominal pain?
Yes, it's a common cause of abdominal pain.
So kids suffer from appendicitis?
Yes, it is very common, especially in the young, between the age of 10 to 20. So we're dealing with our young adults, pre-teens, teenage years. So that is the most prevalent years for one to have appendicitis.
Wow.
So we know that that is the inflammation of the appendix. So it's another common cause of having pain in the tummy there.
Okay. What are some of the symptoms of appendicitis?
It's going to be quite similar to the other symptoms that we've spoken about. You have your nausea, your vomit, you're not wanting to eat. We see a loss of appetite. You can have fever, but specifically that pain may start around the stomach area, around the navel, but it usually goes down to the right side. So we'll ask and tell parents, if the child starts having a pain specific right down in the right lower side of the tummy, with associated lack of appetite, vomits, and fevers, and not feeling well, that could be a sign of a child having acute appendicitis.
Okay. So how is appendicitis treated?
So for that treatment, of course, this child needs to be taken to the hospital. This is not something you want to wait around at the house and observe. All right, it only gets worse. And if we have a child with a acute appendicitis, if it's not addressed adequately and timely, it can rupture and create sepsis and peritonitis, which is a much more complicated condition. So you want to bring that child in to be evaluated. If that is the case, the child can have an appendectomy and can go home in a couple of days. But what we want to avoid in that instant, if there's a complication that leads to severe infection and having to do a major surgery on that child.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's talk about the hernia. We talk about it in adults, but can a hernia cause tummy pain in children?
That is where sometimes my practice comes to see a lot of these children. Because what happens oftentimes, Kortensia, they have the abdominal pain, but you're not sure it's just the hernia that is causing this abdominal pain. Remember, we also mentioned all these other causes. These children are constipated. These children could have gastroenteritis. These children can have some food intolerance. So it becomes a bit complex, and you want to make sure rule out other stuff before focusing just on the umbilical hernia, because they can have an umbilical hernia and it can hurt them. Oftentimes, these kids will complain of having the tummy pain when they're active and running and jumping. So what happened? The pressure in the tummy increases. There's a little bulge that comes out by the navel, and it hurts. And they say, "Mommy, it hurts." Oftentimes, that pain is going to be very specific in that area. And once the child relaxes, that the swelling or the bulge will disappear, and the child would feel much better. But of course, you can repair a hernia in a child. We often recommend that you can wait until the age of 5, because most of these hernias close on their own. We say they close spontaneously. After that time, typically they may not likely close. And if they start to present with symptoms, then you can have it repaired. But we want to always warn, and these are lessons that surgeons have to learn, that you don't want to just go and repair hernia when there's another underlying cause.
So you said you have to wait. If you, the doctor, can determine, since the child is young, that they have their hernia, you still have to wait until they're 5 to do the surgery?
Here's what, it depends on how the child is coping and managing.
Okay.
There's some hernias, especially if they're small, they would close spontaneously. And once they're not giving any symptoms, the child has no symptoms. If you have a really large defect or large bulge, you've seen some of these newborns, those women not close down on their own. And if the child is having discomfort, the child have difficulty, failure to thrive because they're not able to eat well, you may have to repair those before the age of 5. But it has to be clear that most of these hernias will close spontaneously by the age of 5. But if after that and you still continue to have pain and discomfort and there's no resolution, then this is where surgical intervention comes into play.
Excuse me. Explain for me, what is a hernia really? A big growth? Because in speaking, you're saying it closes on its own.
Okay, so that's a good question. I like how you brought that in, because we've spoken about hernias, but you've got to think of it. During embryo, when the fetus is developing, okay, there's the lateral abdominal wall is coming together, so from both sides, and it fuses in the center, and it needs to seal off. All right, if that doesn't seal completely, and remember, you've heard about the umbilical cord. Yes, that comes right to the navel there. All right, and that should close off over time. If that doesn't close off, it leaves an opening. So a hernia is nothing more than an opening or weakness in the abdominal wall. And what happens when you have that weakness? Content from inside the tummy pushes through, and it can get squeezed and pinched. So people like to say, are you going to cut the hernia? No, we repair the hernia because it's an opening. You need to close that opening that is there. All right?
Yeah, we always say cut.
Yes.
Cut the hernia.
So there's nothing to cut off. Or, yes, you have to close that weakness or defect, because what happened? Things are pushing through that opening. A little fat in the tummy. Sometimes it could be the small intestines.
I was just gonna ask if
giving that child pain. They could present with vomiting and symptoms of being obstructed.
So let's talk about urinary tract infections.
Yes, that's a common cause of abdominal pain in children. So
I'm shocked. I thought only adults get those because we all have pain.
No, especially our little girls. So you have to be aware of that. Typically, that pain is going to be in the lower part of the tummy, just in the suprapubic region. So that child would present with some discomfort there and pain during that time. And we know it's commonly caused by a common bacteria. We call that the E. coli bacteria. That bacteria comes from the anus, okay? And it has a lot to do with hygiene. That is one of the most common bacteria in the anus. So little babies, these toddlers, if they're not wiped and tidied properly, they can have some cross-contamination.
Okay, let us talk about the symptoms of UTIs.
So the tummy pain, abdominal pain. The child is going to say, "Mommy, I'm having pain. It hurts when I go to pee." The child sometimes can have a foul smelling urine. They can have some fever. They can have a little blood in the urine. So those are things that can be seen. And a child who was trained is now wetting his or her bed after they were trained. Because what? You have that urge to pee. So it presents with urgency and frequency. Yeah. All right? And these are some of the common symptoms.
Let us talk about the risk factors of UTIs in children.
So common risk factors, if a child has female, just being a female is going to be at risk. Why? Your urethra, or that tube that leads from the bladder to the outside, is much shorter and it's much closer to the anus. So if there is poor hygiene where there's any contamination that gets there, close to that opening, the bacteria can climb up that little passage with their little tentacles and get inside of the urinary tract system and create a problem. Sometimes there's some anatomical changes in a child born with some sort of defects and some sort of malformation that are congenital, and that makes the child much more susceptible to having a urinary tract infection. So it's mostly going to be hygiene.
I see bubble baths or tight-fitting clothing.
Yeah, tight-fitting clothing. Of course, we talk about that even in adults. Those clothes that are not breathable, they're tight, and holding your urine for a long period of time. You know, sometimes you go on these long school trips, field trip, and you just hold your urine from morning until evening. Yeah. Those are conditions that favor the development of bacteria and its proliferation, leading to a urinary tract infection.
And I thought bubble baths were cute for the kids. I didn't even know those were problems too. So what would be the treatment for the UTIs?
Commonly, the treatment for UTI, antibiotics work quite well, a simple dose once it's not a complicated case of a UTI. You want to encourage your child to drink lots of fluid during that period. You want to encourage the child and teach that child how to clean herself, especially after she would have used the toilet and defecate. You want to teach her how to wipe from front to back. Those are important. You want to make sure that the underwear is nice and clean, a cotton underwear, or you can teach her from very early when she gets to her preteen, to use that little panty liner and change those out regularly.
Okay. This is a question out of the box. Does antibiotics have any adverse effect on young persons?
Well, not particularly on young persons more than anyone else. All medications may have some side effects, adverse reaction, but we always are looking for the benefit versus the risk. So you're looking for the best outcome. So antibiotics, they've been well tested over many years, so they're most effective, all right? And they may be necessary in certain cases because you do not want to go on to have a severe infection leading to sepsis and your child becoming critically ill.
What does kids have to do with stress? So does stress and anxiety cause abdominal pain? What stress do these kids have? We didn't have stress growing up. We were running all about. Oh my
Believe it or not, stress and anxiety, just like us as adults, can lead to physical manifestation. We call that psychosomatic. Something is bothering you and it manifests itself physically. So it can result in abdominal pain in children. There is a mind-gut connection, and that is very powerful.
Wow. Listen. Listen. Oh boy. All right. So what causes stress and anxiety in children?
So some of the things that causes stress and anxiety, you may not know what's going on. They're worried about a test. They're 10 or 11. They're in class and they're being pressured to do well. The teacher said, oh, whoever does well, they're going to get a special prize. The competition is on. There's some kind of, anxiety. Remember, Kortensia, when you went to do an exam, just before that exam, don't you remember having to go to that bathroom?
Yeah.
Yes.
You were nervous.
Yes, you were nervous. So that is the mind-gut connection. And so children are dealing with bullies and bullying at school too. They're sometimes nervous to go to class. They will tell you.
Caller, go ahead. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Bullying at school too. They're sometimes nervous to go to class. They will tell you. Caller, go ahead. You're live on Weekly Dose.
Yes, good morning once again to the group.
Could you turn down your radio? We're getting a feedback.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please. I have a question for the great doctor because I happen to experience it, but I would like you to explain to the people as much ears can hear. You heard of diverticulosis, right?
Yes.
Diverticulosis and diverticulitis. Now, I think that is a very common cause in people. That's something to do with the stomach. Is it possible you could explain it to the whole world so that people could understand? Because it is a very, very terrible pain. And that in respect to the chopping of stool in your palate. But I will leave that to you to explain.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Thank you for your question.
So the gentleman caller spoke about diverticulosis or diverticulitis. I think we discussed this some time ago. We had a presentation on it, but of course, repetition is the mother of learning. Yeah. So diverticulosis is where there's weakness in the abdominal wall. Think about it. Remember that your bowels is a long tube, right? So your intestines, that's inside your tummy, the stool and the food material pass through it, it absorbs the water, absorbs the nutrition, and forms the stool. So what happens over time as we get older, as there changes and weakness in our tissues, right? What happens, there's like a outpouching or weakness in the wall, creating like almost like these potholes, right? And that weakness is typically associated with a blood vessel. So what happens when a person have these diverticulosis? They're at risk for having bleeding, okay? One of the most common causes is rectal bleed. Another cause can be abdominal pain because these little potholes, these little pouches become infected because stool gets trapped in them and it becomes infected secondarily, giving you what we call diverticulitis, giving you that crampy abdominal pain. The beautiful thing though, they are not common in children. It is very rare in children to have diverticulosis as we speak of. It happens commonly as we go older over time. This is weakness in the abdominal wall. The same way as our body is changing on the outside, it is changing on the inside. It has also to do with poor diet over the years, a diet that is weak, low in fiber and healthy stuff, and that is high in lots of fats and high in lots of carbohydrates. So what happens? You have to force to stool. And when you push in it and force it to stool, that increases the pressure in the abdominal wall, creating this weakness. So I hope I explain it. So it's not common in the children that we speak of. It happens as we get older, and we have to encourage our people to have more water, drink more water to ensure that the stool is softer. It is highly associated with how we eat over the years and being constipated, okay? So we can prevent that by making sure we have a diet high and rich in fiber and drinking lots of water. I hope that helps the audience or the member who asked the question.
Okay, and we have our final question for this morning as it pertains to the children. So how is stress and anxiety related abdominal pain managed?
So just like any level of stress, you want to talk to your child, all right? Find out what's going on. Encourage them to have a healthy diet because everything's going to come back to what we eat and how we eat it. You want to take your child for a walk. get them out of the house. We have our kids today on the iPads hours after hours. So do exercise with your children. If it is much more than you can handle, you may want to have a counselor speak to your child, get to the root of the problem. If there is some family dynamics that needs to be addressed, sometimes kids become stressed because their parents are going through a difficult time. You want to address any problem that is taking place in the classroom. What if the child is having difficulty relating with the teacher? You want to address some of these things, because these anxieties can create lots of tummy pain. And even sometimes the child can, because they're so stressed, they can augment the extent of this pain just so that they do not go to school, because they're facing a situation at the school that makes it so much more difficult for them. Oh, mommy, my tummy is hurting me. So all of this is part of the stress and anxiety, so we really would have to look into it and address the underlying cause.
Okay, all right. That makes sense. I know somebody that normally have headaches or tummy pains. I'll deal with him. I won't call his name. Doc, thank you as usual for such an informative session. And caller, thank you for your question. And I guess we will do this again next Tuesday.
Yes, hopefully once we're all well.
Yep. And we get some time to rest and be stress-free. Because I'm just shocked to hear the kids have stress. Because I don't remember having stress. I just remember running up and down and being happy at school. Oh, boy.
The times are different. The times are changing quite a lot. And children are exposed to so much more. They've got this world of social media. They're comparing themselves, even being bullied online, not even if the person is so far away from them, they can attack you and they can add a lot of stress. So we need to make sure, spend time with the children, understand what's going on in their world.
Yeah, indeed.
All right.
Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you to the good doctor. And this is where I take my leave for today. I will have to see you on Thursday. I don't think I'm in tomorrow, so I'll see you on Thursday. Have a great day. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Okay, have a good day, everyone.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
At Dental Beginnings, where it all begins with your smile, we provide quality dental care, catering to the needs of the whole family, where gentleness is our specialty and attention to detail is paramount. We offer cleanings, fillings, crown and bridge, root canals, extractions, digital x-rays, and sealants. Dental Beginnings, located at Victoria Road, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Call us at 869-668-1955 or 869-465-1951. Email us at dentalbeginnings@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page. Dental Beginnings. It all begins with a smile.
The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interest of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Edinburgh Napier University, the #1 modern university in Scotland, is now recruiting for their May 2025 intake and is holding a free information session at the Kuna Conference Centre, Wilkin Street, Bastyr, on March 13th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Edinburgh Napier's programs, which include the AACSB, accredited MBA, and BA Business, are 100% online, 100% relevant, and 100% flexible. Reserve a place now at www.seidegrees.com. That's www.seidegrees.com.
Tune in to Creative Voices, the ultimate radio call-in program where innovation meets inspiration. Join me, Dr. Sarah Owen, as I welcome brilliant Caribbean creatives and innovators for engaging sessions that promise to spark your creativity. Don't miss this unique opportunity to interact with our guests, ask your burning questions, and gain insights that could elevate your own creative endeavors. Tune in every other Friday from 10 a.m. to midday. Get inspired. Let your voice be heard. Mark your calendars and prepare to embark on a journey of creativity and innovation with Creative Voices.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And welcome back. And I'm on my own. Kortensia and the good doctor have left, and I will try to engage you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open the lines, and you give me a call. Is there anything on your mind? Is there anything you feel you want to discuss, get off your chest? Things happening in the region, things happening around the globe that can affect us in the region. We know there's talk about the threat to take away visas from island states that interact with the Cuban doctors. We know there's this talk about the big abode being built for the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Whatever is on your mind, give me a call and tell me what you want to speak about. Okay? Let me see what is on my mind. Well, yesterday I was speaking in relation to, I was playing some clips in relation to Burkina Faso and what is happening there. And let me see if I can find that bit of a clip. In the meantime, I do have a caller. Hello, good day to you.
Good morning, Quinn.
Good day to you and yours. How is the family? How is the huzzy?
Huzzy doing good. He's right next to me. I would like to know, yesterday I was listening and I heard a caller was talking about the threat of the thing where Trump want to take away visa concerning the Cuban doctors and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the caller was wanting to know what Mayor Motley is going to say about it. But what my thought is, the caller should be asking, what is our Prime Minister's take on it? Are they willing to give up their visa?
Yeah.
Because then that is what we have to think about. Is the visa more important than standing up for your country?
Yeah.
Because then if you get rid of the Cuban doctors, we have regardless, students get to go Cuba, and I think they study for free, right?
Yes. Well, I think so. I'm not completely 100% sure, but I think so.
Okay. The fact that people from St. Kitts Nevis go to Cuba, study to be doctors from Cuba are in St. Kitts.
I think our own Prime Minister did a stint in Cuba. I think he did some studies in Cuba.
Yes, he did, exactly.
Yes.
So my thing is, what is his thought on this? Because have he addressed the nation? Have he addressed the country about this issue?
I'm not too sure. I'm doing so many things. I think I heard that he made a statement, but I'm not too sure about that either.
Okay. Well, in this case, I don't think the Caribbean should fold. In somebody, you gotta at one point you have to stand up to President Trump.
Yes.
You just can't give in to everything he's demanding. This is not a bully. You just can't go around bullying people. And this is the time now, especially for the Caribbean, to realize that they have to stop catching America cold. We have this stupid saying that when America sneezes, we catch cold. We need to start America's face.
I think the leader from, I think it is Grenada, who happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the younger leaders, he said that he is a sovereign place and they
right.
have
I heard his statement.
Yes.
And kudos to him.
And I think
kudos to him.
I think also that the one from the one who made the comment about the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, where is he? Where is he?
Gonzalo?
Yeah, I think he also made a statement.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did also.
But what people are concerned about, especially here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, is that they do not want to hear these individuals standing on their own making statements. They are saying that they want to see a unified regional, government coming together and saying as a whole, we, as opposed, because it's stronger that way and it sends a clear message that the Caribbean is not going to be bullied into doing anything. So we're looking to hear a unified response.
Yeah, that is true. You should be unified because of that. There's strength in numbers.
Yes.
Once you have the numbers, you have power. You have strength. And if the Caribbean can come together for once and decide, no, we're not going to let you bully us in this way. Because then when we get with our Cuban doctors, is America sending us doctors to our country to work for less than nothing?
No, definitely not.
Okay, they're not going to do that. So there's something where you have to decide, no. You have to dare to be a Daniel and dare to stand alone. You have to stand up for your right. Trump is not a bully.
But
right now,
right
now, Canada wants to shut off New York lights, and if they shut the lights off, I don't blame them. Somebody got to stand up and decide, no.
Yeah. The new leader in Canada, he says he's not going to back down from Trump.
And which he shouldn't, because just like how you have something I want, I have something you want.
Yeah.
But the Caribbean, come on, let's band together and decide, no, we rather give up visa. Because if it's only a visa, they're holding over the Caribbean head. Come on now. There's other places in the world you could go.
I don't understand why they're taking so long to get. Sometimes the Caribbean leaders, they baffle me. And they baffle us as Caribbean people. Why is it taking so long for unified? We're in close proximity to each other. We're in a technological age. You could WhatsApp or whatever and come together and make a statement. Why is this prolonged?
Exactly. They should have been on the ball, done get together, done call one another and decide, this is what we're going to do. We're going to band together and we're not putting up with that.
Yeah.
We're not falling for it because then you have to weigh the balance.
Yeah.
Is the visa more important than the country's health?
Yeah.
Because it boils down to health.
And the quicker they respond, the clearer the message. If this long delayed response, when you do respond, Trump is going to feel, okay, I had you thinking about it, so you're not sure. The quicker
you're showing that you're weak.
Yeah, the quicker you respond, it's more decisive. He says, wow, they didn't even wait for me to make that statement, and they're on it. So our leaders need to react more swiftly as opposed to this long, like, what are they thinking about? How are they going to respond? The young one in Grenada, he didn't waste any time. Almost soon after the statement came out, he made a statement also.
Exactly, and this is what the West leaders need to do. Decide, no, we're not falling for it. Health of the country and the people is more important than jumping on a plane and coming to America, go gallivant and do all kind of things. So I listen off.
Okay, thanks for your call, and you and the Hazi have a great day, okay?
You have a great one also.
Thank you. Yeah, so talk to me. I saw the phones kind of lighting up. Someone else wanted to interact. So give me a call and tell me what's on your mind. Is it this topic? Is it what is it in the region that concerns you? Those of you who are in the diaspora, what is it that you feel should be done here in the region that will enhance and further, increase our development within a given reasonable time? Okay? So give me a call and we'll interact. As of now, I think I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break.
You found the sound 98.9 FM.
Unlock the secrets to a healthier you. Join Dr. Natalie Osborne every Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. on WinFM 98.9 for Weekly Dose. During this 30-minute health discussion, we aim to educate and empower our listeners on the prevention of diseases, early diagnosis, and timely intervention. Don't miss out on this informative health talk where we teach you to live your best life. Weekly Dose, Tuesdays on WinFM 98.9.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TVC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis. Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information. Edinburgh Napier University, the #1 modern university in Scotland, is now recruiting for their May 2025 intake and is holding a free information session at the Kuna Conference Centre, Wilkins Street, Bastair, on March 13th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Edinburgh Napier's programs, which include the AACSB, accredited MBA, and BA Business, are 100% online, 100% relevant, and 100% flexible. Reserve a place now at www.seidegrees.com. That's www.seidegrees.com.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And welcome back, and I'm going to go straight to the phone lines. Caller, thank you for holding.
Good morning.
Yes, good day, Mr. McMahon. And how are you today?
I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I totally agree with you that by now there should have been a joint response, an initial joint response to what the State Department is doing, right? By now, okay? And initial, right? I think they had a meeting on Sunday or something like that, of foreign ministers to address it. I would have thought they would have come out with an initial statement, essentially. You know, and they are diplomatic people, word it in a proper way, basically saying that they're going to enter into negotiations with the State Department on this and underlining the importance of the Cuban medical mission to the the region, and giving and stating clearly that the negative effects that something like this would have. So, because you see, if you don't do that, and if they don't do it collectively, maybe, I mean, there were some brave ones, yes, like Deacon Michel and I think Gonzalez came out, and Rowley was on his way out anyway, so he can say whatever he wishes. I mean, I found his statement interesting when he said that if it comes down to him not going back to the States, he has no problem with that. He preferred to see, and I think it was Gonzalez say he preferred to see his 60-year-olds being well taken care of, as opposed to getting a visit to going to the States. But the others weren't as bold. And I guess you might say understandably. Well, I don't know about understandably, because in a sense it's a matter of principle. Huh?
Yes.
But it really should be a joint effort, because it sounds like the State Department wrote letters individually to the states in the Caribbean.
Yeah, it seems
so.
To
CARICOM,
yes.
Wrote it to individual states.
Yes.
And it would be a clear message if they all together, banded together, to write back an initial response.
Yeah.
And not only us, not only the region. There's the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
Yes.
There's the OAS, right? Because it affects a much larger region than ourselves.
Yes, truly.
And the larger the better. So the larger the response, the better.
Yeah.
So that is the way I think they should have gone by now. An initial response, because I give the impression that we're really in a quandary as to what to do, how to respond to this.
But why should that be? You said that you feel, and I agree that they should diplomatically, respond and outline the value of the Cuban doctors. But don't you think that Marco Rubio and the Trump administration are well aware of it? Even though I agree with you and I understand, as a matter of diplomacy, put it on paper and say, look, these are, don't you think that they are well aware?
Oh, they're aware. That is why it is subtle pressure on the leaders.
Yes.
And you notice what they did, basically they target the movers and shakers, the leadership and the higher people, essentially, okay?
Yeah.
They have that habit, not just with this on this side of the world, but other countries that they don't think much of.
Yes.
It's almost a sign of disrespect to
definitely
your leaders and the systems in your country when they do that.
But when they
because they also know that a lot of these leaders don't have no spine. They are quicker to fold than anything else. That is why they would come out with something like this.
That is just what I was thinking. I was just about to say the very same thing. When they take that response, they know historically, and our leaders are proving them right with this delayed response.
Yeah. It's also a standard thing, I find, to in how we respond to things like this.
Yeah.
You try to wait it out or dampen down things, hoping that it's going to either go away or, it blows over or something.
Yes.
And it very rarely does, I mean, even the other thing you mentioned about the central bank, I think Gaston Brown kind of put a lid on it, admitting that there is need for investigation and there was a failure of governance and so on. But basically saying, cool it. There's going to be investigated, etc., etc.
But individuals are now questioning, because I was listening to some other talk programs, and individuals are now questioning why Mr. Gaston Brown was unaware of this, because what position does he hold? Doesn't he hold a prominent position in relation to?
I don't know if he's Minister of Finance in Antigua, or because remember the governing part of the governing arrangement is that you have the Monetary Council, and then you have the Board of Directors.
Yes.
I don't know if he was on the Monetary Council, or he might have been in rotation, like some of the other prime ministers.
Well,
most prime ministers seem to be ministers of finance.
He did say that he was unaware, but people are questioning why was he
Was he unaware?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? It's a case of what did you know when did he know it, and if he didn't know, he should have known, kind of thing. So
that's it.
Somebody dropped the ball, and maybe he might be partly responsible.
Yes.
Which may be why he's suggesting that to cool things down. And I agree that really and truly we don't know all the details.
Yes.
Okay, and so that needs to be investigated. But just like what we just discussed, there should have been an initial response saying, well, in a sense, saying what Brown said, that these are matters of governance and so on, and they will be looked at, etc., etc. As an initial response.
Let me ask you.
But to not hear anything, that's not good enough.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Gaston also said that he did not, as far as he was aware, the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is not one who would be inclined to be exorbitant, right? I'm trying to.
Was the word I think he used, yeah.
Yeah, and so are you aware of who makes these decisions? If it's not does the board get together and say, well, we're going to make an abode for you, the governor, or does the governor say, I need an abode? How does it go?
Well, I'm not affair with the actual operations of that, right?
Yes.
But there are different levels of oversight and so on.
Yes.
And I mean, for instance, like I said, the Monetary Council is one, the board of directors
is another.
Is another, of which, by the way, the governor is the chairperson.
Okay.
Right? So I don't know how any one of these, at these levels, anyone can get away with saying that they didn't know.
Yes.
What was going on.
I agree.
You know, that's a tough sell, to be quite honest. Okay? But I am more inclined to think that it might be more, as Gaston Brown said, it might not have been corruption or anything like that, really intended corruption.
Yeah.
But just maybe negligence or you know, those kinds of things, which are also serious, for an institution like that.
Here's another spin to it. Okay, you're not exorbitant, it's not corruption, blah blah blah. What we have seen in the Caribbean to some extent, and especially on Africa, a lot of the leaders tend to want to, like, I was listening to a talk program on Nevis, and it was a female, and she said, why is it that men tend to want to always flaunt and try to prove something whenever they reach a higher echelon, right? Why is it they want to have a big mansion, the most flashy cars, travel? Why is it that in a country where we're struggling financially, recession is knocking, and you still want to, build this? These are the things that have people concerned.
And that seems, unfortunately, to be true.
Yes.
That nobody is saying that there shouldn't be an appropriate residence for befitting the position and so on.
Yeah. Yes.
But it has to be in comparison with the lifestyle and the standard of living and so on of the people you're serving.
Yes. Yes.
It should be.
It should be.
It's like, you remember that thing you gave us with the salaries for prime ministers, for instance.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, well, it's twice the average. The salaries of some are twice the average, some 3 times, and so on.
Yes.
Right?
And in certain places, like I think the Dominican Republic, it was almost 13 times the amount.
Right. Right. And that's a valid indicator.
Yes.
Right? Because I mean, come on, you at least try to not appear to be this, to have this extravagant lifestyle in a place that, after all, I mean, this what you call it, soft dumb and them kind of things, this and so on. This disappeared a long time ago.
Yes. Yes.
Right? I mean, you sure have perks and so on, but they must be measured in terms of the economy that you're serving, the lifestyle of generally of the people. I mean, do the chief justice of the East Caribbean Supreme Court have those kinds of things? What it is about? Why should a particular institution, because that's a regional institution as well.
Yes.
How do they determine the levels of remuneration? I don't know. Right? I honestly don't know.
Yes.
But I think they should be sensitive, at least, to things like this, man. Don't. It's almost like flaunting things on the people you're serving. That's never good.
There's another aspect to it, because people are concerned where, I think it was Gonzalez who said, well, let the St. Kitts government buy it over, and people have a problem with that also.
Kidding. Yes, of course people would have a problem with that. if buy it over if it's 22 million, I mean, if they're going to do it for 7 million, sure, why not? But not 22 million. Why?
So
why
we're supposed to take. That's the question. Why show it on us? I mean, shouldn't he also have been aware?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got a question, and as Brown said, look at the governance structures and management and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
With a view to not having things like that, because I mean, then if none of them know, if everybody's throwing it in everybody's lap, everybody else's lap, then what was going on? I mean, who was in charge?
Yeah, that's it. So we have another.
Nobody was in charge.
We have another.
Which of course maybe why the cost balloon too. We don't know.
There's another caller on the line. Don't go. Yeah. I like when we have an engagement. So hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning to you guys, man. How you guys doing, man?
Yeah, we're fine. And how are you?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Let me get straight to the point. Concerning that ECB scandal, do we realize $22 million if we were to build houses for the poor and for the people in the Federation? A house cost of $200,000 would have been able to build, I think that's like 110 houses.
Mm-hmm.
With a house costing $150,000, we'd have been able to build 146 houses.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just another example of how our Caribbean leaders are selling us out. We should have no mercy on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see how they're now squealing and pretending like they don't know what happened. They should all be held accountable. Bottom line, we should have no mercy on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the people has been calling out for our leaders to stay underground and stop jumping on the plane so often.
Yes.
You know, this order coming down from the United States State Department about the Cuban situation, once these people put that into, Now, once
implement
they
it. Once they implement it, yes.
Once they implement that, yes. Once they implement that,
yeah.
These guys cannot think that these American people are joking. They're not joking. So we lost our visa free status to Canada. Think our leaders cared about the local man who was trying to get out the Federation?
Good point. McMahon, interject.
Yeah. Again, right? It's gonna fall back on how these leaders perceive their role as leaders of these countries.
Yes.
Because are they willing to make a sacrifice for the good of the country?
Yes.
Right? That is why I look at this as a big test. How are they going to respond to the U.S. in terms of this, right? And certainly in terms of the other things, maybe it is time that somebody be made an example of.
Yes.
Okay? Otherwise, these things will continue to happen.
Yes.
And so how even something like this central bank thing plays out, I mean, if you never hear about it again, right?
Yes.
I am going to be very, very disappointed.
Yes.
That, well, the politicians pull a one over us again.
Yes.
Right? Because they did say there were some issues of governance and there would be investigation. And so you expect, since it's in the public domain now, that they're going to come back to us with findings and what they've put in place to make sure it don't happen again, et cetera, things like this don't happen again, right? So if it's business as usual, I'd be very disappointed, right?
You know,
these two things, I think, are watershed things. They're going to really show up the quality, the caliber of leadership that we have.
I agree.
Whether there's going to be responsibility, accountability, transparency, and those things, or whether things going to be just as they always have been. Okay.
Yeah, I have a feeling. That perhaps some of the individuals who are claiming they didn't know, I have a feeling some of them knew, because it is hard to believe that. I mean, who's overseeing these things? It does not shed a good light on them.
No, well. The thing is, the thing is, all of us certainly in St. Kitts, or most of us in St. Kitts, would have passed by there, whether we're going through the country or Rams or something, would have seen the building being constructed.
Yes.
Would have heard that is the central bank's building, and thought nothing of it. No big deal, right? Because we expect that the bank would follow the proper procedures, procurement procedures, the quantity severe people would be hired who knows what he's doing, the contractor would have gone through the necessary bonding and so on, insurance,
everything,
and those kinds of
everything
things.
would have been above board.
Because it's a central bank, then everything would be done properly and above board.
Yes.
So nobody would pay attention to it. Everybody assumes everything is fine. It's only since the letter came out that people set up and begin to sit up and pay attention.
Yes.
I mean, we have issues like that all the time, where people question what is happening in the government when things are done, when projects are undertaken, and we want to make sure the procurement and so on went on, and there's no quid pro quo and under the table dealings and so on.
Caller.
We would normally question that of government.
Are you still there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Experience in the past with things like this, but
caller.
not the central bank.
Yes.
So that I think is where the surprise came in.
Yeah. What
you
is your
associate those things with the central bank?
What is your take on it? This question is to the other caller. As we have been discussing, what is your take on it? I remember do both of you or any one of you remember some time ago when there was a problem with a particular bank here where they just went and take off some monies off of people's account because they said people were spending such and such, but they didn't inform them, and that became a big stink, and people were questioning what role did the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank play in this, because they should have been monitoring these things to avoid, and it is only after these individuals made waves about it then we heard the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank made a statement. And now we see this happening. We're questioning how do these people go about doing what they should do? There are so many questions that we don't have the answers to.
Yeah, well, undoubtedly, the common man, the working class, the consumers, they bear the squeeze of all of these negligent behaviors of these leaders.
Yeah.
You know, I remember there have been many persons who lost money in their bank accounts.
Yes.
The banks, they just take people's money when you have such a minimum amount, under such a minimum amount, and the bank holders, they're never been notified. I remember a few times where like that.
Yeah.
My father lost money in Scotia Bank in Nevis. When the man showed up there to check his bank account, the man's account is being depleted every month, and he has no idea that was happening. He just withdrew the rest of the money that was there at that time. Concerning this scandal, ECB scandal, what I was saying before is that we should never let these leaders get away with this stuff. Never. It's like something going on in your house and you want to claim, say, you don't know what's going on in your own house. That's BS. I was going to make a comment about the visa implementation of that visa thing with the Cuban factors and stuff.
Go ahead.
When we lost our visa-free status for Canada, right?
Yeah.
It was a result of our leaders.
Yes.
The common man who wanted to get out of St. Kitts to go and, explore and visit Canada and do what they want to do over there. We lost that privilege.
Yeah.
The people on the ground have been asking for our leaders to step foot on the ground and take care of business on the ground. So when this implementation happens, if the U.S. go through with this, I just want to see how they're going to feel. Firstly, I must say we should speak as one voice.
Yeah.
If we don't speak as one voice in the Caribbean, they're going to pick us off slowly.
Yeah, definitely.
The U.S., they know. This thing with this Cuba stuff is well crafted.
Yeah.
Well crafted. The diplomacy from the U.S. side is near perfect when it comes to this. And the Caribbean region as a whole, we don't have the unity. That's why the U.S. can. They're not going to drop a bomb on us. They're not going to drop a bomb on us. But they have many ways in which they can pick us off and destroy our economy, bro.
Yes.
And this is one such thing. They're going to come at us. They're not going to give this up. So I'm telling our leaders, and the Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister and our ambassadors, they need to get together and come to the public and make statements and address this thing, because the U.S. is not going to stop until they implement this stuff. Trust me. I've seen how these guys are operating over here.
Mark Mahon.
That's my contribution, man. I want to just leave it there for now. Thanks.
Okay.
One of the reasons why we should pay attention to what eventually happens with this central bank thing is that it is not the first time that they've messed up.
Yes.
Or it would appear that they have messed up. I remember, for instance, when they had the Bico-Clico thing.
Yes.
They were the premier financial regulator in the region. True, at that time they weren't responsible for insurance companies and so on, but they should have been privy to the environment of in which those companies were operating in the ECC union. And gave the government advice as to what to do.
Most definitely.
As well as The second time I think they would have messed up was with this when they bailed out this bank, the bank in Antigua. I forgot the name of the bank.
Yes.
But the National Bank had to take one big loss because of that. Because basically, I think it was done via the central bank in an attempt to save the bank.
Yes.
And left us with the bill.
Yes, left us with the bill.
So,
I
we
remember that.
absolutely need. Yes, I mean lots of great professionals work there, top notch, and so on, and they've done a pretty good job managing our currency and so on. But they've also made some errors, and we can't say because they've been good in one area, give them a pass in another area. I mean, it's a financial institution, and they have to be top notch. They have to be on top of the game at all times.
Yes.
Not some of the times.
And
unfortunately, that's how it is.
And when they make these other blunders, it has a rippling effect.
Exactly.
It doesn't just stay there, you know. It's
right. Yeah. You know, so let's hope it's given the serious attention it deserves, and that something good will come out of it in terms of, like Brown said, the governance issues are fixed and so on.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if initially I looked at it as corporate responsibility, since the governor was in charge, then he's the one who might have to take the hit.
Yes.
But it may not. I mean, and even though it may not have been him directly. Okay.
Yeah.
But in listening to Brown, I've tempered that a bit and say, well, let's do the investigation.
Yes.
And let's see what comes out of it, and let the chips fall in me.
Yeah. Okay. In relation to the visa thing, the caller made a very, very good point. We're living in an era where they're not going to drop a bomb on us. They're using other means. And don't you think that this is a test to see how...
Yes, it is. You can bet your life if they get away with this. They're going to be other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, it is indeed a test. Okay? It's a test of how good we are at diplomacy,
and how unified.
They're the ones with the big stick.
And how unified we are.
They're the
also.
ones with the big stick.
Yeah.
As Donald Trump liked to say, and you see how he treated Zelensky.
Yes.
Tell him straight out, you don't have the card.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that is, I think, is the approach they're going to take.
Yeah.
Whereby, listen, you can't make noise with us. We have all the cards.
Yeah.
You depend on our tourists.
Yes.
You want to travel to our country.
Yeah.
You want immigration, and you want to study there, etc. The medical stuff and so on. So, behave yourself. Do what we say.
And here's another factor which okay. It seems that they sent these individual letters to our various leaders. I think the plan is send it to the individual leaders and have them respond individually, as opposed to our leaders getting together. If our leaders were to get together and they had done that sooner than later, it would have shown that we are a unified body in the region. But as it has played out so far, I think they're sitting down and saying, okay, we were right. They're not unified. See, only 2 or 3 have made, and they're far between. They're not.
Well, all of the leaders. I guess because they sent a letter to the individual countries.
Yes.
The individual countries, by protocol or whatever, may need to respond.
Individually.
But every one of them should send the same letter back.
That's it.
The exact same letter back, and they'll get the message.
But even before they sent the letter, I think from the time they realized they had gotten this letter, I think they should have called a bit of a conference and made a statement. And, while the letter...
No. I think the first I heard of it was from the Barbados foreign minister.
Yes.
So they may have not... So they may have received the letter at different times.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because they wrote, people, I guess, they wrote to the individual ones, but they may have received it at different times.
Okay.
But the Barbados one, I think, was the first I heard with it.
Mm.
But, and they have met, the foreign ministers have met, okay? But what I'm saying is don't prolong, don't draw it out.
Yes.
Everybody come up with draft a response that is even those who may not be so affected, like, let's say, perhaps Bahamas, maybe they're not a big deal in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Or other countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even those should, in solidarity with the rest of us.
I agree.
Right. Sign up to this.
Yeah,
everybody should have this. This response from everybody should be the same. Like I said, it can't be a CARICOM response in terms of, because they didn't write to CARICOM.
Yeah.
They write to individual prime ministers, right? So the protocol might demand that the individual countries respond. But that response should be identical from all of them. And that would send the message.
Yes,
that
definitely.
We're speaking on one voice with that.
Yeah.
And of course, like I said, expand it to other friends. PAHO, the OAS, you know.
Yeah.
Let them know that, listen, man, you can't be doing this. Okay? I mean, to be honest, if they could do what they did to Canada, which is supposed to be their next door neighbor and bosom pal.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll think much of the countries down south of the border, south generally.
I think though that I may be wrong, but I think the way the Trump administration, the way they're going about things, I think it's going to be negative in terms of the lashback they're going to get over time.
Well, the backlash they'll get, but seriously though, what backlash you think they can get from here, honestly?
Well, I heard, not from us, I'm talking about
I mean the region.
Worldwide. I'm speaking about
worldwide. Yeah, worldwide. Yeah. There could be. I mean, because after all, you got a country as big as China.
That's it.
You're threatening the EU, you're threatening Canada, Mexico, those Brazil and those countries, those big countries.
And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, the Chancellor, I think, of Germany, I remember a statement she made. She said, let the Trump administration continue along this vein, and we will eventually give them what they want: worldwide isolation. That is a big statement. You understand? So
the only problem with that is they carry a big stick as well.
Yeah, but you see, if I think it's a strategy of Trump is testing the world, and the world now is going to test Trump. So some of it,
I don't know. I don't know how this thing ends, but
that is the question. I don't think it's going to end good. Somebody's going to, maybe over time.
The thing is look as if it's going to end badly for everybody.
That is the point.
Because as the army said, nobody wins in a trade war.
Nobody wins.
Right? Actually, nobody wins in any war.
Well,
because that's the thing about wars.
Yeah.
War, you never really win a war, because a war essentially is a precursor to other future wars.
Yes.
Because people resent losing and will always remember and will always come back in the future when they could. So nobody wins in any kind of war, whether it's a trade war or military stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody wins. But yet we keep falling into these traps. I don't know what it is about humans that we realize that some things are futile, like war, but we do them anyway. We fight them anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the same here.
Okay, Mr. Mahan, I'm gonna.
All right.
I'm gonna end there. Thanks for your input. I'm gonna see if I can take this final call. Hello, caller. speak to me?
Yes. Good morning again. Mr. McMahon made a statement that America holds a big stick.
Yes.
Yes, they do. But we cannot be afraid of the big stick.
Yes.
Because we have to remember, Trump is only in there for 4 years,
Yes.
And we're in a country where he can be impeached.
Yes.
He can be impeached because after a while, people realize what he's doing. You think people are going to just, even in his very own party, after a while, you think they're going to just fall in line and go along with the stuff he's doing?
Good
when
point.
it starts affecting them,
Yes.
they're going to stand up.
And it's already affecting, affecting them.
Exactly. And it's going to go deeper. I mean, in New York, they shut down Mercedes thing the other day with protests. Elon already feeling it.
Yeah. I was
They're gonna feel it.
I was listening to an article where individuals who were saying, we voted for Trump and now we've lost our jobs. You understand? So it's going to have repercussions because these individuals didn't understand the extent of what Trump was going to do. But now they're feeling the repercussions.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that when people realize what he's doing, they're going to have to pull him back in, or otherwise they're going to impeach him. Or my thing is, I feel like somebody's going to pew him.
Well, let's not even go there, because...
Somebody went over the weekend up at the White House and they arrested the person. I think they said that they shot the person.
Well, I'm not aware.
So people are going to be doing some real dramatic, some real weird stuff.
Yes.
And he's not going to get away with everything he's doing. So his own party going to pull him back in. He's only in there for 4 years. And I don't think the American people going to let him destroy America for the 4 years he's in.
Well, I hope not.
They're going to stand up eventually in a country where he can be impeached.
Okay.
All people have to do is unite. So let us not be afraid of the big stick. We can't always be coward.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to stand up.
Definitely.
We Caribbean need to grow some backbones. We not that we may be little, but we can be taller if we want to. Have a good day.
Same to you. Take care. And that's how we're going to end things here on Island Tea for today. It has been a pleasure. Do join us again tomorrow, and we'll do things over again.
We're different.